photographer and a videographer, and I create culinary content and corporate content. So a little bit about me. I'm half Italian. I kind of grew up in a food culture. And when I was a kid, we used to go to my grandmother's house in Brooklyn and have Sunday dinner every week. And so food was really, part of my life and part of my culture ever since I was, I can remember. My grandfather owned a bar in Manhattan. It still exists. It's called Puffy's Tavern. It's down on the, Tribeca. And so I was always interested in food. I started cooking at a very young age. At the same time, I got really interested in photography. And when I was a kid, I'd pick up a camera and, I figured out how to do, dark rooms and, all that. I was kind of nerdy with that stuff. And I never really knew that food photography was a thing. After I graduated from photography school and I went back to college, I got my bachelor's in marketing and advertising. I kind of kicked around and did a couple of jobs, which I really didn't like. And I quit my job in marketing in the early 90s. And I started working for a tabletop director named Alex Fernbach, who did all the Wendy's commercials and he did all the, craft commercials and all these food commercials. And I started to kind of put the pieces together that you could actually earn a living taking pictures and videos of food. And back then they shot on 35 millimeter film. It was really, really expensive to do. They shot on, movie cameras. And so while I was working as a production assistant, they started kind of giving me little tasks like, hey, you're a photographer. Can you take these photos of still photos of the food that we're shooting for the Wendy's commercials? So I kind of pieced that together and I learned how to do lighting from very high end directors of photography who got paid thousands of dollars. So I would sit and observe how these people did their job, kind of keep my mouth shut. And a couple of years later, I kind of wanted to do my own thing. So I quit working in production and I got into photo assisting. And I photo assisted a gentleman named Bill Helms, who was a food photographer. And I worked with him a couple of years and we kind of bridged the gap between digital and film. And when he retired, he was an older gentleman. When I started working for him, I was given his account, which was the Food Emporium in New York. They were supermarkets owned by the A&P chain. And I kind of knew how to do food photography, but I really needed to, hone my craft. And so I did basically baptism under fire. I was shooting digitally and I was shooting a lot of food, and some of it was good, some of it was bad. And eventually I figured out my way, and I carved a career out for myself. So what I'd like to do now is show you what I do versus tell you what I've done. So I'm going to share my screen. And the first thing that I'm going to share is this is a video reel of some of the, basically some of the work that I do. So I'm just going to play this. It's about a minute. All right. So that's kind of.
Oh man, you made me hungry.
I'm hungry.
Yeah,
I'm hungry now.
Wow, awesome.
You knew that was coming.
I just want to share that I spent 20 years in food service, and my pet peeve was bad food photography. So I really appreciate great work, and Bill does great work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I have another sort of still presentation. So basically what is Brady Photography? We create culinary content using still photography and video to tell your brand story through social media and advertising. So these are some of the clients that I work for and have worked for over the years. And if anyone's interested in that, I can share that with them, at a later date. So food photography and beverage photography are kind of my staple. And people always say, well, it's very expensive to do good food photography. And what I ask them is, well, what is it really costing you to have bad pictures representing your brand? And the amount of money that you spend on a week of photography with me will more than pay for itself with sales and clicks and things of that nature. So what I do is I do ad campaigns for web, print, and out of home. So this first slide is it was a series of ads I did for Drake's Cakes, and they took over. This is an out of home experience, and they took over the 49th Street's D-Train subway, and every single area that you could put it, had my imagery in it, which is kind of cool to see. Hold on one second. Sorry. So this is an ad I did for Boar's Head. I like to tell people, you may not know me, but chances are you've seen my work. If you haven't seen this poster, you have not been to a deli in New York in the last 15 years, because they constantly rotate this in and out of rotation and in the windows of delis, and then they do like small signs and all that kind of stuff. So this is an example of package photography, and package photography is very specialized because you see where all the type and everything is. So this is a layout that a client sends to me, and then I have to make a picture fit into this layout. So the rub on this one was, see this sauce dish? Well, the chicken nuggets were way smaller than any sauce dish that we had sourced, because nobody had seen the product. And when art directors send me layouts, they don't really understand like that everything's not to scale. So what I wound up having to do was take like a top off of a spice jar, and I put it into the photograph, and it fit exactly into where it needed to go. And then I shot a ceramic ramekin, and then I kind of composited the two images so that it didn't look like it was a spice jar. So we did about 10 SKUs, and they were both vertical and horizontal. And so, even though it was a horizontal image of the same photograph, we really had to do a completely separate photograph because the type lays in a totally different way. So, most people who are doing food photography, they say they're food photographers, but they really to get into this level, you need specialized equipment. I have a medium format camera that shoots super high res, so it can shoot, for web or for print of any size. So a lot of the work that I do is also beverage photography. So, I'll wind up, having to style some of this stuff, and sometimes I'll hire a food stylist to help me out. So this is an example of something I did for Freeze Vodka. I have a drink stylist come in. He actually made that ice cube. It's a fake ice cube. It's made out of, acrylic. We took, the cans of air that you use to, spray off computers. If you hold it upside down, you can actually get frost. So we frosted the glass, we shot it, and each take took, it starts to melt. So you have to move really fast as a food photographer. And I like to say food photography is still life with an expiration date. This is an example of something that I do for Angry Orchard. I do a lot of the work for them. And this is food and beverage combined. I actually styled this myself. I did not use a food stylist. I shot that on location in my upstate studio. And this is also an example of something that I styled myself. We add the lights in, we do all the kinds of stuff. So it's all lighting, and that's really the key to photography. And here's another Angry Orchard example. So when I shoot food, I shoot for a couple of different places. So this is in a restaurant. This was a Michelin star restaurant called Picheline. And so the chefs were automatically food styling for me because they're at such a high level that everything that they brought out was already beautifully presented. So I really just had to do the lighting and composition on this. I didn't have to do any food styling here. This is an example of a chicken product that we shot down in Florida. This was in conjunction with a TV commercial. So in between the TV commercial, I had to run in and I had 3 minutes to do all of my work. Normally I get the whole day and I'm like the star of the show because I'm the photographer. But when I work as a still photographer on a video set or a commercial film set, I'm just like, they're screaming at me to finish. So I have to basically speed do my job, and it still has to look as good as it did if I spent all day shooting it. This is a burger. It's built by a food stylist intentionally. Everything in this picture is calculated, from the bacon, exactly where it goes. You know, we have tweezers, we move food, we fill in holes, we add the sauce at the end, we make sure that everything's moist and done. The bun's charred. Like, that's an example of, you know, chaotic use of food, but it's also like very styled, and it has to look perfect for the client. This is a, you know, just a very simple thing, but, you know, again, the fish has to look good. You have to, you know, serve it up and make it look interesting and light it. Lifestyle photography is also part. So this is part of the chicken shoot. So this is actually an interesting shot. Every single element in this shot is styled, from the wardrobe to the, you know, the guy wearing his apron. The ad agency went through 10 different apron styles. The people in the background are styled. The kid is there. All the food is done by a food stylist. And the natural light is actually an 18,000 watt light coming in from the back end to light up the scene here. So, you know, it looks like it's in your backyard, but it really, we shot it in Florida, and, you know, it was an overcast day, and, you know, we made it look great. And this is, you know, this is another lifestyle. This is more like what social media stuff is doing. And then, you know, here's a restaurant. So it's a mixed bag of things that I do. One of the really interesting verticals that I have are portraits, and I do mostly executive portraits. This is an example of something I shot for Akin Gump, which is a big law firm. I do all of their brand identity. They have huge, beautiful offices on 43rd Street. So I go up there about once a month and I do corporate photography for them. This is another, you know, law firm that I went in, and, you know, that's a real background. That's the city background. And then this is an example of a portrait session that I did, where I actually shot everybody on a white background and then cut them out and then found different backgrounds because they wanted multiple backgrounds. I've developed this methodology called the 15-minute painless portrait. So I can shoot a high volume of individuals in front of a white background. And then a lot of times I'll go into an office and I'll detail the office. And then I'll use sections of the office to merge into the background. So it looks like I shot the pictures in the office. And what that does is it basically allows me to shoot more people rather than running around an office, finding locations, lighting it, and then, you know, bringing the people in. What I do is I just roll them through the background and I make sure that they, you know, they do their picture. Then I have an assistant who sits down with the client and they pick the photos right there on the spot. And if they don't like their photo, I make them go back and take the pictures until they just give up and have to leave, because, you know, it's not me, it's them. And what that has done for my clients is they don't have to hear people complaining about that they don't like their headshot for 5 years, or the photographer picked my picture and the marketing person picked the wrong photo. We put the onus on them. Plus it also gives them control over the process, which helps them out quite a bit, you know, and people really enjoy that. And this is just like an example of a portrait on a neutral background. And, you know, some of the clients just want that as well. And so these are the kinds of things that I do. So the other thing that I do is video production. So 57% of all searches on the web are video based. So if your brand is not producing video content, you're leaving half of all the internet searches for your competitors to exploit. The need for photography and video assets is relentless, and having the right partner is the key to increasing your sales. So basically what I do is make your brand look good. And I'm going to show just one or two quick examples of other video work that I do, just real quick, and then I'll be done. So hold on one second. Give me 1 second here. Sorry, it's a little clunky. So this is a distillery video that I just did. Is that sharing? Is that working?
No.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Stop share screen. Sorry. There it is. Okay, that should work.
Hi, I'm Ken Wertz. I'm the head distiller here at Savage Beverages in Charlottesville, New York.
Hi, my name is Jamie and I work as an assistant distiller for Savage.
Hi, I'm Noelle and I work for Savage Beverages.
I've been distilling for 10 years, been distilling for Savage for 3 years.
We are unique because we're a distillery that are one of the few in New York State that makes our vodka from apples.
It was more like a mom and pop kind of distillery, and now this is going to be a huge distillery.
So everybody that comes through the door has to be trained from beginning to end.
I'm involved in every part of the process, from fermentation to bottling. That's pretty amazing to make something that started off as an apple and now it's a spirit that everyone enjoys.
We hope to grow the brand. I'd be very proud as we continue to grow for people to know the Savage name and upstate vodka. I want every bottle that goes out the door, I want to be proud of.
So
Very nice.
the reason I showed that is because it has so many moving parts. I went up to the distillery with my camera guy. If you notice, there are drone shots in there, there's sound in there. Those people are not actors, so I have to get them to say things on screen that they didn't even want to be on screen. So you have to run sound, and you have to sync everything, and then shoot all that other stuff, which is called B-roll. So it's not just that I can shoot, you know, pretty pictures of food and pretty video of food. I can also put together a full presentation like that for clients. And I've done that for, you know, not just food clients, but I have plumbing clients and I have real estate clients. You know, it's just too many things to show in one presentation, but I wanted you to sort of get a flavor for the capabilities that I bring to the table. And the last thing that I'll say is, you know, it is expensive to shoot, but the return on investment is pretty good. You know, my crew, when I work with a crew, we produce a lot in a day. And so, you know, my business coach told me, you know, people ask you about price, and if you're too expensive, you have to say compared to what? Because generally I will outshoot my competitor more like 2 to 1. So I will do twice as much work as my competitor in a day. So even if I'm charging twice as much money, they're still getting more. If I'm charging not quite twice as much, they're still getting more. So I always like to give my clients more than what they ask for. And with me, it's a true partnership. So I will never leave a client like hanging. If there's a problem, they can get me on the phone. I will always fix it. And if something goes wrong, I will always take care of it. So that's pretty much what I have to say.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate that. And with a few minutes to spare, good stuff, everybody. I think it was a great first run. Jill, you had a question early on. You still have that question?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I just have to let you know how great this is, seeing these snippets of what everyone does. It just takes it to a whole new level. So awesome. Awesome. I want to hire everyone. I don't need you all, but it was great. Anthony, you mentioned a 3-year contract, and I was wondering what happens over the 3 years. I can understand coming in that first year and checking out all the expense reduction areas, but what happens year 2 and 3?
So that's a great question, number one. And a lot of times, all our heavy lifting is year 1. What happens, depending on the contracts, vendors agree to a lot of things. And then when no one's watching, prices start to go up. So we audit, we oversee everything for 3 years. We don't get in the way of normal day-to-day service. Let's say it's on technology. They still call for service the same way, same thing with healthcare. They deal directly there. But where we play a role is if service levels drop below the service level agreement we've agreed to, we then get involved and we become the client advocate. So we really become part of their team for 3 years. And we've gotten a number of clients, even though it's only a 3-year contract, to up with us beyond that point, because they see the value that we're bringing to the table.
Great, thank you.
I think Fred had a question.
So Anthony Malachi said he wasn't a geek, and most geeks don't know that they're geeks. So I'm just messing with you. I had a one-on-one with Anthony a while back ago with Kara. He does such a great job explaining his company and his value. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
You're a geek, though.
All right. I take that as a very high compliment from you, Fred. Thank you.
I have a question for Lori.
Go.
Lori, do you work more with franchisors or more with franchisees, or it's a combination of both?
Franchisors. My clients are all franchisors.
Oh,
They're either
franchise.
franchisors, or I do a lot of work with other franchise development firms. I do their development work. But I do very little work with franchisees.
Do you help franchisors find franchisees?
Yes, I do. Yeah, we have a sales mandate and we do that. And we also help individuals find the right franchise. So we have a process, like if someone is looking to buy a franchise, then they can come to us as well. We have a process that we take them through to help them find the right franchise. We have a matchmaking process. So we do it both ends.
Question?
Go ahead.
I got one for everybody. So Anthony, what does your ideal client company look like? What would you accept as a minimum, but what's the ideal?
Great question. Thank you. So typically I'll say 100 employees in an organization or larger.
Uh-huh.
Then it's dealing with someone at the C-level, typically a CFO. Or a COO in an organization. And the last piece that I'll put in there is they have a healthy culture. And what I mean by that is they've got good leadership, they're pulling in the right direction. Because as I said, our competition isn't so much other expense reduction companies, it's the internal organization. So we don't want to be a threat to them.
Okay, great. Lori, what's the financials of a potential franchisor? At what point do I tell my business owner clients that, hey, you got to talk to Lori?
Really, once they have one successful location, they have to be profitable. So, so sometimes that takes them a year, sometimes it takes 2 years, but they need to have at least one location that is proof of concept. Now, if they ask you, well, what does this cost? The average to franchise your business, the cost to a franchisor from start to finish with your legals and financials and marketing and all that kind of stuff is about $85,000. So it depends on the brand. It's between $60,000 and $85,000, which includes the legal fees and all of that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
And Bill, the photography you did with the headshots and stuff, I didn't know you did that kind of stuff. So is that everyday kind of stuff you do, or is that just?
Well, so I have a couple of large clients. One is Eisner Amper, the other is Aiken Gump. I shoot for Ruskin, Moscow, Faltacek. And I like doing the portrait work just as much as I like doing the food work, and it's very profitable for me. And I like it. So yes, I would say I'm looking for those kinds of jobs just as much as food. The reason why I target the food vertical is I get most of my headshot work through word of mouth. The food stuff is, it's sexier, but I'm a photographer. I've been taking pictures since I was 8 years old. So whatever helps me pay the bills, but I like taking portraits. I enjoy meeting people and hanging out with them. So it's fun.
A really good sell is the fact that you can shoot everybody in the same place, behind the same screen, bang,
Yes.
bang, bang, and then
Yeah,
you position it. Because
exactly.
dealing with this crap sometimes is such a pain in the ass.
Sure.
Everybody's got a certain sunlight, this, that, takes up the whole day.
No, I
love
come
what
in.
you do, man.
I come in with a crew. We take a conference room over, and they schedule the people to come in every 15 minutes. Lawyers take more time because they need a little bit more attention. But the like accountants take 15 minutes. Lawyers usually take a half an hour. And everybody walks out happy. And the people walk in going, I hate having my picture taken. And when they walk out, they go, oh, that was pretty good. That was a good experience for me. And I take that as a win.
So Bill, I guess you have pictures of Charlie Weinstein.
Yes.
And Adam Silver.
Yes, I have pictures. I have pictures of both of them.
I know that Amir and Ahmed raised their hands, have questions. We'll hear their questions, then we will close it out so we can respect everybody's time. Go ahead, Amir.
Thank you, Lane, but I think to give my comment, I want to go to my happy place. Although I was in one of the canals, now I'm in the Grand Canal. Thank you, all three of you, and what a great presentation. I'd like to share a thought, and that is, and I want to know if I can project that with just the excitement in my voice for all of you. Every one of you has such a niche, and you have perfected this niche over decades. And I call that art. So maybe as the next progression of this is, if you take us, Bill, you inspired me to help inspire others to aspire to the fact that this is art. And it is not a business. This is basically art. You're putting your art on display. It's just that when you buy this art, it helps saves bottom line. If it saves you $100,000, that's like $1 million business with a 10% bottom line. Sure. And 30 years of experience as a mother who had to do something from home to be able to do things that would bring in money and at the same time, you know, be able to live your life as life had changed. That's an art, Lori. And I want to tell you that, Bill, I am hungry, not because of all the stuff that you showed, but the way that you displayed your art made me look forward to eating a hamburger that I think looking at it added about 500 calories to my diet, just thinking about it. So you are all artists, and I want to share that with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amir. Ahmad, I know you had a question.
No, just a follow-up with Anthony Malachi here. I would love familiar with Ann Chen from the things we do digital submission. I texted you, but let's.
Okay. I had a little trouble hearing that.
Yeah, you were breaking up a bit, but if
Oh, I was saying I would love to have a one-to-one with Anthony. I know Ann Chen from before, and I'd love to chat. Yeah, I'll text you my information.
Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Jill, you said you had a quickie.
Yeah, real quick for Bill. Can you send me your page of the companies that you have done business with? You know how I deal with manufacturers and plastics. I have a colleague that deals with consumer food and beverage. So I think it would be a good connection. So if you could send that to me, I will make an intro.
Absolutely. Oh, I just have one last thing. So as of yesterday, my art photography was picked up by an NFT company, and I have 2 NFT minted art pieces that are being bid on as we speak, and the bidding's up to $900 a picture so far, and hopefully it'll go up a little higher than that.
Sweet. Maybe we'll get up to 900,000.
That would be nice.
NFTs. That's a whole new world.